Check. All right. So, let me see here. I don't have my, what's going on? All right. So, let's go up here. And we will do this number here. I need to have a separate screen open so I can monitor the chat here. Hey Keenan, how's it going? I need to get two screens. This is a fun first experience for me, trying to live stream stuff. You can tell how often I do this. Not very. Let's get to where I'm not showing client stuff here. Yeah, I need to make this like more permanent, I guess, don't I? Yeah, so today I'm working on, and this is actually the first time that I've done any like live streaming of any kind, so this will be pretty interesting. Uh, I may try and do this like a little bit more often, just like live streaming some app building type stuff, just for fun. But this is like a project that I've been working on for a little while, um, called Spitball. And I did have a domain name for this setup, but I kind of got tired of paying for it, even though it was just kind of like sitting here. So I kind of did away with it for the time being. Um, and so basically, the idea behind this is just that Spitball like lets you basically hire people to like be your mentor or your friend, or um, and you don't have to hire people. Like if people are willing to do it for free, then they can do it for free as well. But but yeah, so that's kind of what this is. I've got like a login screen here, and um, you can see here on this one. Maybe I'll do this actually. This will probably be better. There we go. I'll get this set up better, but for future stuff. But um, so yeah, I've got like a login screen here, and so we've got sign up, login. I've got some confirm buttons here that have some conditional visibility on them, so that these only appear if these two fields match. So if the password and the confirm password match. But like I might switch this out eventually for um, the components provided by No Code Monkey. He has like some really good components here for like confirm password that are already made, and it lets you set like password requirements as well. So I may try and do something like that in the future. But he makes really good components. They have an input validator, password reveal, which I use this one in another one of my apps that I've got in the App Store, and it works really well for both sign up and login. So I may have at some point switched this over to that, but yeah. So we've got the sign up login. And after they sign up, it sends them a verification code to their email. Um, I don't think I actually have this set up yet, but and then I just have like some fun like copy in here, right? Like code ain't matching partner, right? Like if this isn't what matches uh, what it sent them or what's in their record, then it would like display this message here. Just kind of fun thing. Then after they kind of verify their email, um, it asks them like why are they joining? Like, are you joining to talk to someone or are you joining to like be talked to, basically, right? Like earn some cash or both. You can do both. This kind of lets them select different interests that they're interested in. And this is kind of the home screen here. So we've got like suggestions for who to follow. And I believe that there's some pretty complex logic here. I haven't touched this in a while, so um, so it's only going to show users whose profile and who have a profile picture, um, and only users where, you know, if you're ignoring them, which is kind of like blocking, except like less severe, I guess, right? Like if you're friends with somebody, but or you follow them, but you um, or they've asked to follow you, but you like don't want to accept their request, you can just take ignore, right, and it just kind of goes away. We've got and where their email is not equal to us, so that we don't see ourselves in this list here. And spitballs are basically just like um, posts, really, but they're more resource oriented. So um, they shouldn't be just like posts like a tweet is a tweet, right? Where you're just like voicing your opinion. These should like add to the community or be ideas or resources of some kind that add to something. Um, so yeah. Um, and they have the ability, you know, you can embed a link in them and stuff like that. Hey James, how's it going? Um, so yeah, so they've got that, the search function here. We've got obviously the ability to shoot a spitball, which is basically just a post, right? Like we have like all these fun terms for like taking mundane things and making them a little bit more fun, I guess. We have James, yeah, that's a good idea. Uh, so I thought about doing that. This was I was actually just trying to really just experiment with it, right? To see like what it would be like to live stream app building. And I've seen, I think, a couple of other people do it, maybe Colin and some other people. But I may end up starting to do this a little bit more regularly, just because, for one, it helps me actually complete my apps. Like I'm terrible about like starting these, you know, these all these side projects and then like never actually getting back to them. So it's as much for me as it is for anybody else. But yeah, I mean, if people would chime in and glean from it, that's good too. Um, so yeah, we've got a profile page right here, right, where it displays like their specialities, which is really just, you know, things again that they've selected over here. Um, yeah, so they can pick, you know, specialities or interests, right? So things that interest them or things that they specialize in. So like no code might be a topic, video games, right? Movies, gardening, whatever it is. Um, there are these things, and the other piece aside from the resource wall, right, or the spitballs, technically is what that is. Um, I'll just change this because it's not really your spitballs. It's just kind of a like weird, quirky way to do it. But so you can get paid for like offering advice and things, but people don't have to charge stuff, right? Like if they just want to do stuff for free and just find people to talk to that are similar to them, then that's fine too. Um, but actually, what I was finding in my coaching sessions was that a lot of my um, the people that I coach, like for Adalo and stuff, they just wanted somebody to like bounce ideas off of, right? Just to like get a second opinion on. Um, and some people are willing to pay for that. Some people just need somebody to talk to, whether that's like in a professional capacity or in a um, more kind of informal capacity. Um, and so this spitball kind of serves to be a platform for that, I guess. So like you could set your whatever your specialty is that you want to help people with. You can set like payment info and things like that, which I haven't set up Stripe for that yet. But um, and then there are these things called Seshes, which again I don't think I've built that out yet either. It's been a while since I've touched this, but the idea behind a sesh is that um, you can essentially start like a video call with people. So you can think of like um, Clubhouse, I guess, except with video, and it's um, more one-on-one focused, I guess, to like build relationships with individual people. I'm more of like a recluse myself, but and so this is kind of like encouraging people to make connections with people in a more face-to-face way rather than just through tweet, right? Or just through like Facebook posts. Like Facebook is so toxic. But um, if you notice, like anytime you're on like a video call with somebody, people are not as likely to say what they're thinking, which can be a good thing because it forces people to be a little bit more civilized in their discussions, I think. And so Spitball, the whole idea behind that is to kind of encourage those uh, more positive interactions, I think, between people. Um, so yeah, that's kind of the goal there. Um, and so yeah, I'm just gonna keep kind of building this out, and I'm just gonna work basically and try to explain some things as I go, I guess. And then if anybody has any questions or anything, feel free to ask. Happy to do that. And a lot of these are gonna change, right? Like some of these are um, like I think I actually even started building this before Adalo had custom fonts. So that tells you how long it's been since I've actually worked on this. Um, and I'm kind of having to like remind myself what some of this stuff does. Start is true. And this is where like documentation I think is really important. Like notes, people spitballs. Yeah, so they can search. Actually, let's just preview it and see what we have built out so far. Okay, so I'll sign up with somebody new. Actually, we'll just make it chief. Ah, okay. Bruh, passwords don't match. What was I thinking? What was I thinking when I was making this? Oh my gosh. Sign up. Okay, so this is great. I don't even know if it sends the verification email, to be honest. I guess we'll find out in a second. Yeah, I don't even think I think I have to go in and manually make this verified. Verified user. Okay. True. All right. So maybe we can preview this again and see what happens here. Ah, okay. Okay, so I've got some shifting stuff here. So one thing that I have noticed is that, like when you place icons over the top of circles, they tend to shift around a little bit, even if you group them together. Like I'm pretty sure that that is a group. Um, and to further make things even more complex, I have like a little circle icon there to indicate whether or not a person has notifications. So what I would probably end up doing is actually like this isn't technically an image. So like what I would probably do is go to someplace like Flaticon. Um, and I actually pay for this service, but there are plenty of other like free options out there as well. But Flaticon is really good because it lets you, like, they have lots of different packs of icons. And you also get access to FreePick, which is like a illustration service, and they have like some pretty good stuff as well. Um, so yeah, you get kind of like stock photography, like really random stock photography type stuff. And then they also have, I'm not sure what UIcons is. The best UI. Oh, wow. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Okay, so yeah, they apparently that's new. They have UI icons there, which is pretty cool. And then they also have um so they also have, is it, maybe it's called Story Set. Yeah, I think it's called Story Set, where you can download like illustrations and stuff. And a lot of these are customizable, so you can change like the the different style of it, right? Like this one's called Rafiki. Um, Bro looks a little bit different, and you can change the color of it. So a lot of these are like this one's really, really, you know, much different than the other ones. But you can change the color and make the background hidden if you don't want it, um, or add really detailed backgrounds. So yeah, that's a good resource as well. Just one of many of those resource type places, I guess. The All right, so I got distracted. The notifications icon. So I kind of want to make this look very similar to the other icons that we have. And this spitball kind of image here is it's not a button. It's just an uploaded image with a background that's been rounded. So I kind of want to find something that kind of matches that, I guess. Um, and is comparable. I like the roundedness. Like I like these rounded icons a little bit more, just because it goes with this kind of like, a lot of these buttons are very um, they're very rounded, and so I feel like the rounded, like maybe this one. So the other thing is that you can actually change the color of this right here in Flaticon, which is pretty cool. Like I'm not sure what the color of this icon is, but I will copy this. We'll choose a new color. We'll just paste this hex code. And you also get to decide like what size you want it in. And since this isn't really like a huge icon, I'll probably download like 128 pics or something. I just realized I don't have a. Oh yeah, I do. Save it there. Yeah, so like instead of having this like circle with an icon inside of it, um, what I may do is just like ungroup this, pull this out separately, and then just erase this. And then what I'll do is press and hold Alt, or you can do this like you can use Option if you're on a Mac, and click and drag over, and it will create a duplicate of that. And then from here, I'm just gonna like replace this image with the new. Where is it? Spitball. Yep. And I don't want to crop it. Let's show the full image. Okay, yeah. So, all right. So this is a little bit bigger. So let's do this. Let's. Um, I may need to actually open up. I don't want it to be quite that big, obviously. I'd prefer it to be a little bit smaller. So what I'm going to do is try to open up Photoshop potentially. Or actually, you know what? Let's do it with something free. That way, because not everybody has Photoshop. But one thing that you can use is either like Canva or Adobe Spark, um, which is really good. I like Adobe Spark because I have free access through the university that I work at. But you could use Canva just as easily. So, and Canva is great as well. I've used that on several occasions. But I do like Adobe Spark. Adobe Spark's pretty easy to use. And so let me see here. Yeah, so you can see like all of my projects here. But what I'm gonna do is just do a custom size graphic here, and then just choose standard square. And then I think I'm just gonna upload the photo because really all I need to do is just resize this because like this bell is taking up the entire um, it's taking up like the entire square, and I don't really want that. So what I may do is try and find this spitball icon blank. And open this to kind of make it the same size so that we have like some congruency here. That's pretty close, but something tells me that that's not right. Because see, this icon we've got like, this is just a, like if I turn down the rounding, you can see that this is just like a picture. So I kind of want to make the bell, the same size as this picture. And to be honest, I'm not really sure. Like I said, it's been a while since I've touched this app, so I'm not exactly sure where this photo is at the moment. It may actually be in Spark. Hang on. No, it's not. That's okay. And the strange thing is that actually this is probably pretty close to what it needs to be. I'm just kind of eyeballing it here, but you know, it's taking up about half the frame, I would say, overall. So we may can increase this just a little bit, not too much. And then snap it to these guides here. And this is the part that always takes the longest, I think, in app development. No matter, I mean, obviously it's faster with no code, I think, but this creating these like little assets to really make an app special and feel like really nice and polished. Um, these things take time, right? This is just part of it is fun, and then like after you've done it, after you've tried to make those as best as you can, you're eventually just like, ugh, I'm just so ready to be done with this. So I'm gonna download this image now as a transparent PNG to allow transparency behind that bell, and then we'll call it notification bell, and we'll see if this is going to be kind of trial and error because it may need to be bigger or smaller or whatever, but we'll just kind of replace this with the new notification bell here. Yeah, so that looks pretty good, I think. We'll increase the rounding back on this. Yeah, so and the cool thing is because this is a copy, it's already the same size as the other one. And then what I'll do is I'll just select both of these and make these a group. All right, so, and then the final test here is to see if this is going to change anything. All right, so we still got kind of an issue here. Let's try and make this, I'm thinking it's because of this little circle. So a good troubleshooting step is to just remove this circle completely from that image, ungroup it, make it its a separate thing completely, and see if that improves the thing. Yep. Okay. So we know that the circle is causing an issue here around this bell icon. And what I can do is stick it directly in the center here. Zoom way far in. You can see that like the square, these little borders are right in the corner. So what I can do is like stick it maybe 2 little clicks inside of that image and then group this together, and let's see if that improves things. Nope. Let's make it always visible and see if that create a date. We're going to lose all this criteria here, but I think that's okay. Okay, so it's fixed when it's it's fixed when it's actually there, but for some reason when this is gone. Let's try not making it a group. And then we'll just add this back. So this will be visible if the notifications, and when you see this in Adalo, notifications, and then in parentheses it has receiving user. This is because in my database I actually named in the notifications collection here, I actually named it receiving user, right? So like, who's the person that's actually getting this notification? And this is why it's really important to name your properties correctly in something that you can understand, because when you go to reference things like the visibility here, like logged in users notifications, if you, for instance, had something, another relationship in the notifications collection for sending user, right, like who initiated the notification, who caused it to happen, then a lot of times it's confusing to come back in here and try to find the correct field to link to. So in this case, when I hover over notifications, I know it's like, oh, this is the logged in user's notifications where they are the receiving user, right? So yeah, what I'm going to do is just do a count here, and then I'm going to add some filters to this count. So I only want to count the notifications where the created date is after the logged in user's last notification clear. And this is actually just a property that they update on the notifications page where they just like tap something and it literally just updates this date field. This is a date field um, to show, okay, they've seen all of their notifications and we're just kind of like resetting the date that they last checked it, right? I mean, you can even do this automatically as well. But what I'm doing is saying I want to get all of the notifications for the logged in user that were created after they last checked them, right? So that's kind of what last notify clear is. And if the number of those notifications is greater than 0, then I want you to show this icon because that means that they have new notifications to look at. All right, that was let's see. Yeah, so they're still getting some sort of an issue here with this. And this is kind of a tricky, this is a tricky thing to do. So let me make sure that the entire thing is inside. That may help some. Nope. Show full image, don't crop. Height. Let's actually pin it to the top and see if that helps. A lot of this kind of UI stuff is trial and error because sometimes it's not always clear how Adalo is like rendering the page. Um, and so actually the potentially an easier way to do it is to actually make a complete copy of this and just place it below this. Um, ooh, consigo trabajo. I am not sure, Renato. Something about SQL? Power BI. Yeah, that's a good question. If someone could translate, that'd be great. Um, so yeah, this is what I made. So to get around this, um, I mean, that's obviously not what I want it to look like. So what I would probably do is like go back into Adobe Spark and just like recreate this as an image itself, right? Like, um, there's more than one way to skin a cat, right? That's what we say in the South. There's no one way to do things um, in coding or really anything. So what I'll probably do is just choose like a circle here. And make this the complete width of the, I don't want it to be, all right, and then I'll just make it the same color as the background. And again, Adobe Spark and Canva, these types of programs are like lifesavers. I mean, I know how to use Photoshop pretty well, and a lot of times I still prefer to use Spark just because it's so simple and all of the assets are already there. Like, there's a huge advantage to just like popping in here and it keeps track of all of your stuff, right? Like in project folders and whatnot. And you can pretty much do anything here that you would do in Photoshop just about. Um, make sure that this is centered up here. There we go. And so like what I might do is then like create a copy of this. And again, that's just using the Alt trick actually. So you can use that trick as well. I'm actually just going to make this look exactly like this little circle here. So I'll just copy this light orange. I really like this light orange. I kind of found it on accident, but it's really kind of cool. I think it goes good with the blue. All right, and we'll make that a little bit smaller. And then I actually, just to do this, like I probably could add a border to it, but I'm just gonna like make a bigger circle and put it behind it. So the other cool thing about Spark is that you can create like color palettes for different projects. Like you can see, I have like some palettes here, and I can even like make if you have the pro version, I should say, you can make like custom palettes for certain brands. So if you're like an app developer and you make lots of these, um, you make lots of these apps. It's helpful. Spark is helpful because you can just organize all of that stuff right there in Spark, and you don't have to keep track of like a style guide or anything like that. You can just like look at those pieces that you have. That's pretty close. Let's make this a little bit smaller. Oops. Control Z. Let's do. Yeah. So I think that works. All right. So let's just do this. Let's actually make this a little bit bigger. And this is where it's going to be kind of trial and error because we don't exactly know how big this should be. We just kind of know that it needs to look similar, right? So like I'm not exactly sure that this is the same size as this. I'm just kind of eyeballing it. It looks pretty close to me, right? The edge of the bell to here. I mean, it's pretty close. Yeah, I mean it's pretty close. So, and then what I'll do is we'll just download this. We'll make this transparent again. Notification picture. Well, we'll call it have notifications. .png. And then to do this, I'm just gonna basically delete this really quick. Download a new copy of it. Call it no notifications. And then I will hit Control Z to add those back and hopefully save it. Call it notifications icon. And then what I'll do is like I'll drop this into the. I think I can do that. Move to Spitball. It used to be called Spitball with a BOL, but then I realized that that was like really stupid, so I changed it. Hey Luigi, how's it going? So yeah, we've got that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna like delete this thing entirely, and we'll replace this with no notifications. It should look exactly the same. Like nothing changed, so that's good. And then what I'll do is just create a copy of this down below it. And in Adalo, like I'm sure a lot of you already know this, but like in Adalo, you can uh, butt things right up underneath each other, and sometimes even beside each other, as long as they're touching. And if you control both of them with visibility, items that are touching will like take each other's place depending on which one is visible. So like I want this one to be the one when they don't have a notification, and then I want this one to be, the one where they do have a notification. And I'm actually going to turn off the rounding on this one. Turn off the background. There we go. And so now what I can do is control the visibility of these two. So like this one would have a visibility where the logged in users notifications count. So again, the kind of the same thing. If they have notifications that were created after the last time that they cleared their notifications, then I want you to show this, right? But it's not enough to just add the count. Like we have to say if the number of those notifications that meet that criteria are greater than 0, because otherwise it's not going to show. And then kind of the same thing with this one. This has to have the opposite logic here. So the logged in notifications count where the created date is after the last notify clear is equal to 0. So this one down here is greater than 0, right? So if they have notifications, if the number of notifications greater than the notification count is greater than 0, then show this one. If they don't have any notifications that meet this criteria here, then show this one, right? Hey, Market Alpha. Good. I'm glad that the videos have helped and stuff. That's cool. Thank you. I just realized it says "Welcome back, Master." I oh my gosh. The user is called Master Chief. Oh, that's so bad. Okay, Master Chief. Welcome back, Master. All right, so let's change this. Uh, let's just call it Chief. How about that? He doesn't have a last name. Okay. Welcome back, Chief. All right, so this is a classic example of like where fixing one problem actually causes another. Um, so you can see that like this is kind of jumping up into this area, and I don't really want it to do that. So it's probably because this overlaps. Like you can see that this image is overlapping this text box. So what I'll do is just bring this in. And I think really the key thing, I think, with troubleshooting a lot of stuff in Adalo is just like instead of coming in here and like adjusting a bunch of stuff at once, right? You don't know exactly what has changed when you make a change. So when I build an app, I preview a ton. Like I preview stuff a lot. So like I would probably just make this one change, right? Make this text box not overlap this area and then just hit preview and see that fixed it. I just did that one thing. And that's really helpful in troubleshooting, I think, is just changing one small thing at a time and seeing if it improves. Okay, cool. So we've got that. This, I don't even remember what this does. Link to my profile. I don't know what I was thinking here because that doesn't make any sense. Why would your profile be a spitball? That makes absolutely no sense, but whatever. We can fix that later. So for those of you that were not here, I guess, when I was explaining, but Spitball is basically an app where you can, yeah, styling can be a headache for sure. And it's very time consuming to get right. You know, like even if you have all your assets in place, it's still sometimes a pain. It's still way, way faster than a lot of, you know, traditional development type stuff, I think. But it does take a long time to get it right. But I mean, the good thing is that once it's there, and once you kind of understand like some of the common things that can happen, it's easier to figure it out. Yeah, it could very well be 100 times faster. No joke. Um, yeah, definitely. So yeah, spitball is basically um, it's always disappointing when. So this was based on two kind of concepts that I like realized was that social media is very toxic, right? And the second thing is that people sometimes just want somebody to bounce ideas off of, um, and sometimes finding people that are experts in your area are really hard to get a hold of and really hard to find. So Spitball kind of serves as a platform where you can connect with those people, um, discuss ideas in a like more constructive environment, I would say, and even get paid to consult, right? So it's kind of like a consulting, but you don't have to pay people. You don't have to charge people to do that if you don't want to. So that's why I've got like the payment details thing over here. Um, and it's been a while since I've worked on this again, so I'm just kind of like picking random stuff to fix at the moment, until I can get back into the swing of things on this app. So I have a way to create new spitballs, which is basically just um, a resource essentially. And you'll notice that like when the person clicks on this, it actually creates the spitball before it links them to this next screen. So like um, rather than this form actually creating the spitball, this is basically just updating it, right? So and I think if you've used Adalo at all, you've found ways where that's beneficial, right? Where you create something first and then link them to the next page. Um, I can't exactly remember why I had it do this on this one, to be honest. But but sometimes it's very beneficial to do that, right? To create something and then send them to a new page. Um, Menu variable input. So this could very well. I will probably change this actually. It's usually better to actually update the user's record as opposed to just like storing a number in a field. Like currently, the way that this menu works is when you click on search, um, there's like a hidden number back in here that changes, right? So like when I click on people, it puts a 1 in that field and then filters which list it shows based on what numbers in that field, right? So if I click on spitballs, it changes this to 2, and then the list of resources appears, or the list of spitballs appears, because that list is set to only be visible if that field is equal to 2. So, but you don't have to use a field for that. Like in this case, we're just using like an input field that's being changed. Um, you can also use a um, like a number field in the user's record, right? So it's different for every user. And that's probably what I'll do. Like I'll probably just go in here and change this to, because I like that better. Like if I don't have to have a UI element hidden on the page somewhere, that's I think a better way to go about it. Um, and I don't want to call this search index, but we can call this like search toggle maybe. And so like when they click on spitballs, instead of it changing the input value, I'm just going to have it update the user, update that new one that I made, and just make this 2. And it seems to be a little bit cleaner, I think. Search toggle 1, and then these are already on people, so obviously they don't need to do anything. The blue is already on spitball, so it doesn't need to do anything. This list of people, this was contingent upon like only show the list of people if they've selected people, right? So I was using that variable input to select um, which one is shown. So I'll just have to make sure that I change this to. Oh, and this is the other thing too, is that If you change stuff in visibility and for some reason it's like still not working, always reset it back to always and then go to sometimes visible, right? I don't know what it is, but it's something about it just helps reset the visibility within Adalo. It's a nice little trick there. Logged in user search toggle is equal to 1, right? Because when they click on people, it's updating the user with 1, and I want this to be visible only if the search toggle is equal to 1. And same thing with this one. Do you prefer to build in the back end with Adalo or build an admin dashboard within the app itself and do most of your updates within the app via forms? Is it so market alpha? Yes. What I typically like to do is actually um, keep the admin panel separate from the app, and the only reason for that is like usually I'm the only one that operates the admin panel, so I can just build myself a separate PWA that shares the same database. Um, and that keeps me from having to like log into the app every time and then navigate to the admin page. If I build myself like an admin PWA, I don't have to send it to the App Store. I can still access it, and I can literally just have a one screen app that does not require a login or anything like that. So as soon as I click on it, it just opens, and I have all my functionality there to update users or like see stats or those types of things. Um, but I have built admin dashboards within the app itself. But the disadvantage for users is that it does make your app a little bit bigger, which requires a little bit longer to download and takes up more space on their phone. So I tend to not do that anymore. Yeah, yeah. I know a lot of people do it that way, and it really is a great way to do it. Just have like just like your personal scratch-made like little admin dashboard thing. I don't know if it's being recorded, Stuart. Honestly, this is the first time that I've even tried like streaming like this, so it's probably a huge cluster. I don't know if it's being recorded. I think I'm recording to YouTube currently, so I think YouTube actually holds on to those. Anytime you live stream, I think it holds on to that recording, and then if it does record it, I'll happily add it to my channel so that people can watch it later. So let's see. Sometimes visible. Oh yeah. Okay. So I'm going to reset this to always. Again, always is good to reset your screen conditions. So this one will be visible if the logged in user's search toggle is equal to 2, right? Because when they hit spitballs, this is the list of spitballs, and I want that to be visible, when they actually click on that. So let me just go back and make sure that this functions the same way that it did, right? Okay, so this is interesting because it is changing it, right? But the menu is not changing, and that's because I forgot to change the visibility on the menu as well. So we'll just reset these. So the people one's going to be visible if the search toggle is equal to 1, and the spitball one is going to be visible. Again, I'll reset this. Be visible if the logged in user's search toggle is equal to 2 here. Right. So that fixes that. The other thing that you'll notice is like when we go to the search page, there's the potential that if they land on spitballs, right, and then go somewhere else and then come back, that it stays on spitballs, right? So if you want to make sure that they always land on the same screen each time, there's a couple of different ways to do that. You can, hey Sala, how are you? Um, if you want to, um, Actually, we don't even need that anymore. You can delete that. If you want to make sure that they land on the same tab each time that they hit this page, there's two ways to do that. One is to set it actually on the screen action, right, which happens anytime a user lands on that screen. This is probably the way that I'd go about it first, just because it's a single action that I set up. But there is a disadvantage here in that you may see like a little bit of a blip here. Um, so I'm just gonna, like, when they first hit this screen, it's gonna update the user to the search toggle 1, which is this people one here. Um, the um, let's see. The other way to do it is to actually do it on the search button, right? So before it even sends them to the screen. The only disadvantage to that is if you add it here, you have to add it to all the other navigation bars as well. So um, like before it links to the search, we're going to update the logged in user, and we're going to set that search toggle to 1. So that's another way to do it. But again, wherever I have this navigation bar, that's where I would need to do it, right? And that's actually, those are the only two places right now. But that is a good way to do it, because sometimes on here, if I set it on the screen action, it will display this logic before it finishes updating the user, and you'll see like a little blip, right, as it's updating. And that's always not really a good solution, but we can see. Actually, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of half a dozen one way, 6 another. I would probably just do the extra work and put it on the actual search icon, honestly. That way you know that there's no blip and it's always going to send them to the tab that you want it to send them to, right? I don't have any spitballs, I don't think, so that's why there's nothing showing here. But Matt, I have a question about sometimes visible. It works in the preview or in the browser, but when I test flight the app, I open the app and log in. Data is shown. But when I close the app and open again, data isn't showing. Yeah, so sometimes that's a list issue. I have an app actually that does that as well, and you usually have to like navigate away from that page and then go back to that page. I don't actually know that it may be an issue with sometimes visible, but if the actual data is not being shown, then that is usually like a list, something on the list itself. But I have an app that actually does exactly what you're talking about. And to be honest, I haven't exactly figured out the best way to fix that yet. But yeah, typically you don't have to necessarily go out of the app. You can just like switch over to a different tab or a different screen somewhere and then switch back, and it will like repopulate the data. Yeah, the home screen. Yeah, that's exactly right. So I have this in monitor app here that does that. It has an issue sometimes. This is the home screen, and sometimes this list doesn't even show up when you first open the app, so you end up having to like switch over here or to one of these other tabs and then go back, right? So I'm also trying to figure out the same issue actually. Um, yeah, okay, so that covers that. So I've got shoot a spitball here. Let me check that functionality real quick. Okay, so all this is working. I don't have a view page for individual people yet, but okay, this is interesting. So I'm a new user. Chief is a new user, and it says your spitballs here. This is definitely not something that I made. So that tells me that the filtering on this list is not correct. It's showing somebody else's stuff, and I don't really want that. So let me fix that real quick. Yeah, so it's showing all spitballs, and really it should just be showing mine. So again, so this is another good example of like making sure that when you create properties that are relationships, that you name them properly, right? So like in the spitballs collection here, you notice I have creating user, right? Creating user of the spitball, not just user. Because then when I go in here to try and filter this list, um, if I just have user, it's just going to say logged in user spitballs user, right? And then I'm not going to know. I'm like, what does that mean? What relationship is this? Because I can have people who favorite spitballs. I can have like, you know, people who report spitballs if they're inappropriate, right? So labeling them properly, labeling relationships is really important, I think, for spitballs. And now I know, like, oh, this is the spitballs where this person is the creating user, and I can kind of filter that correctly. So now, if I go to my profile as chief, I shouldn't see anything. Yeah, so that's good. Let me just test this edit here, and I've got something missing there. Oh, okay. So this brings up another good point. Oh, let me see. Matt. Yeah, Matt, please do. Yeah, if you find a solution, please let me know because, um, I mean, I'm sure that there's some kind of hacky workaround I could do, like, you know, redirect them to a screen and then immediately link them back or something. But I try to stay away from redirects because I've found out that they're not super reliable all the time. But that could be a way to do it is to just like set a screen action, right? Um, as soon as they land on the screen, redirect them to like a blank screen and then just immediately send them back from that one. And that may help um, repopulate the list. But definitely, yeah, if you find a solution for that, let me know. So I think I think that was that thunder? I know that was crazy, wasn't it? Role display name. All right, so this is one of the things that I have the users do in Spitball is actually select what their role is before they actually finish their profile, and um, joining to yeah. So like after they verify their email, and I didn't have this set up. This is why it didn't send me through these screens when we did it a little while ago. Um, Oh, okay, it is there. I'm not sure if this is correct or not, but we can look at that in a second as well. Um, so select a role. It's asking them to, okay, do you want to talk to someone in this app? Like actually hire someone or just find someone to talk to and consult with? Or do you want to actually be a consultant and try to like earn some stuff? Or do you want to do both? Like some people like to do both. And these are not actual buttons, these are actually list of roles. And the reason that these are individual lists of roles is so that when they select this button, it actually ties this role type to that person. So if we look in our database over here, there's like a collection called roles. And I've got 3 in here, right? Like finding people, earning money, and both. And that's not really what they're called in the app, but um, you'll notice that I have like a display name associated with this so that I can use this piece of text dynamically throughout the app. Um, and I guess I can touch on that in a second. But these are individual lists, and when they click on this, it literally updates the user, and makes their role be the current role, which is whichever one is showing here in this particular list. Um, because after they join, I could have like individual buttons here to assign their role, but I wouldn't be able to create a relationship that way between two different collections, right? Like I could have a single button that just was like changed a text property in here called role, right? And then just like literally update the user and type in role, earn money or whatever. But I like to actually link the user to a role in a roles collection. And this is the best way to do that is through these lists, through these individual lists that are kind of filtered, to show only that role. And that's really, really helpful because then, like here, it says pick a few of your. This could be dynamic, right? It could say like pick a few of your interests or pick a few of your specialties, right? Um, and because I want that to be dynamic, either specialties or interests, then I need some way to dynamically display that based on the role that the person chose. Um, and so, like if we go back to the roles collection, you can see that here I have display name, right? If they choose both, it's going to ask them, hey, pick a few of your specialties. If they choose earning money as their role, then it's going to show the same thing. And if they choose finding people as their role, then it's going to show, hey, pick a few of your interests, right? Um, and so this allows us to like pop in these dynamic labels and texts throughout the app based on the role that they chose way at the beginning of when they signed up, right? And you'll see that here. I think there's another place somewhere right here. So role display name, right? Role display name. Um, One other question about dates and showing valid or expired based on the date that the user adds to a form. So the current date is before one if past. Let's see. The user adds to a form. Okay, so if the current date is before the expired date, show valid. Yeah. If past expired date, show expired. Yeah. So that's a little bit tough to do through relationships. I'm not sure if you're talking about through relationships, Matt, but I haven't built out the notification screen on this app, I don't think. Yeah. But if you had like a notification screen, you could have a button there that says, like in your case, you're showing expired, right? It's very similar to the visibility that we set up on these notification icons here, where I'm just saying like, okay, count the number of notifications. Like instead of your case, you wouldn't use a count, but you would just like filter the list to show. But you could use some logic here that says, okay, if the record's created date is after the expired date, right, or the date when it's supposed to expire, then show expired, right? Or if it's before, then it shouldn't show expired. But typically with just either or type stuff, you really only need one that has visibility options. If it's something like that, because either expired, the word expired is either there or it's not. Uh, oh, to show on a text or a button. Yeah, so the low-hanging fruit there on that, like if you're wanting to show expired or valid on a button, is the low-hanging fruit is to just put two different buttons, right, and control them with visibility. But if you absolutely had to put the display name here, you would probably need to create That would be tough. You'd need a separate collection called um, like dates, right? And then tie that dates collection to, or like expiration dates, and then tie the expiration dates to whatever record is being like evaluated against. Um, I honestly, if it were me, I'd probably just create two buttons, right? One that says valid, one that says expired, and then just control them with that same logic. I think is probably the best way to do it. Um, yeah. So, yeah, again, the reason that we didn't have a display, um, a role display name here is because I had to quit the sign up process before it was completed. And that brings up like another really important point um, that's kind of hard to address is like a lot of app building is figuring out what could happen, what could go wrong, and like to put it bluntly, like how stupid are your users, right? Like what could they do that you just did not even foresee coming? You're like, oh my gosh, why did you do that, right? Half of building a good app is anticipating those types of things. Um, to show on a text button. Yeah, give the buttons a try, Matt. And yeah, I can make this. So I'm planning. I actually would like to release the Spitball app, but I may make this like a clone as well. That may be kind of a cool thing to do. So once I build it out a little bit more, I may try to make it a clone. Right now, I couldn't hand it out because it's only halfway done. Right. I would hate for people to like jump in here and be like, "What? This thing doesn't even work." Um, but what was I saying? Oh, yeah. So the sign up process, you have to anticipate like what a user might do that would completely throw everything off, right? Like in my case, what I did was I got to this verification screen and then I left, right? Like I left the workflow, I left the process flow, the sign up flow, and then when I reopened the app, it just dumped me on the home screen, and I didn't even get to do these two things. And the same thing can happen to your users, right? They can be in the middle of an onboarding workflow that's asking them like really important questions that determines how the rest of the app functions for them. And if they leave, like, they get a phone call or, you know, um, their kid needs their attention really quickly, right? They have to maybe exit the app or look at something else or lock their phone, turn it off, whatever. Um, if they open up your app again, will they be able to be put back right where they were in order to finish that process? And that's a really, really tricky thing to do. Um, oh, you would use this app. Oh, I gotcha. Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's good. I'm glad to know that it's there's at least some demand out there. Yeah, thank you. Um, yeah, I hope that it provides value to people. So there are a couple of other like things that I like to do to make sure that and I haven't actually done this for this app yet, so this is actually a good opportunity to do this. Um, I actually like using Airtable a lot for managing different apps and stuff. Um, so what I'll do is create a new Airtable base as like my project management. And the cool thing about this is that you can use Airtable as um, both project management and like a backend for a website, right? For like a roadmap or um, uh, you can even use it as a backend for a Dalo if you wanted to. So Airtable is like a very versatile tool within app making. So I'll call this one Spitball. And then kind of like what I want to do is like list out the things that I know, like the other features that I know I haven't built out yet. So what I'm gonna do is like just create like rename this field like task name. And everybody has a different way to go about how they project manage stuff, but I'll leave notes there. I don't really use attachments that much, and then status that's fine. I prefer like complete to done. I'm like kind of a OCD person, so I like to have these things capitalized and stuff. And I really like Kanban views. I don't even know if that's how you're supposed to say that, but Kanban views are really nice because they help you just organize what it is that you have to do. So like I haven't built out a notification screen, so I'll put build notifications screen. I also wanted this app to have some uh, video editing, or I'm sorry, like a video conference ability. So I'll put video conference screen / function. And I was thinking about hopefully using something like daily.co to do this. Which is like a video kind of, it's like Zoom, but you can embed the player on their site, and they don't have to download anything. And they have a very good free plan as well. So there's that. I have a way for people to add spitballs, or like these resources is basically what they are. Can you attach data from your app and send it in an email? Matt, are you talking about in this app or just in general? Like, is that a possibility with the Dalo? I just realized like the whole build in public, this is like the ultimate version of build in public for sure. Okay, let's see. I'm assuming Matt is typing. If you have an image or text, yes, is it available? So image, yes, you can. You do that through like a custom action um, to shameless plug here. You can use AdaStacks to do this. I have a template coming out soon for like sending receipts and stuff like that to your customers. But yes, you can do that. The image has to be referenced as a URL. You can't like embed the actual binary data into the custom action, but you can use an image URL and send it embedded in an email. And then text, yeah, absolutely, you can do that. It's a little bit trickier to do it automatically, like without user input. But with user input, like if they click a button or click confirm or navigate to a screen, it's easy to initiate those kinds of emails and stuff. Oh, let's see, setup. How many this is I'm not very good at this live stream stuff, as you can tell. Build notification screen. We need to have a way to build out Stripe payment gate. Stripe payment gateway. What else do we need to do? The service that I mentioned is daily.co. So it is a real-time video kind of. I mean, it's basically Zoom, right? Like that's the easiest way to explain it. Is just it's like a pre-built like Zoom kind of widget. They have pretty decent pricing, so they have this free plan. You can have up to 2,000 participant minutes for free, which is, I think it's calculated like if I have um, like a 10-minute meeting and there are 10 people in the meeting, that's 100 minutes, right? So it's like users times the number of minutes that you've used, which could get quite expensive, but the free plan would be plenty, I think, to get an app off the ground like this. So that's kind of like what I was planning on doing, is just using this. And then basically the way that the app would sustain itself is like this: anytime a person actually charges for consulting, it would just charge like a percentage of whatever they get to help pay for this the pricing here. And it's really not that bad. It's like $9 a month. You still get the same amount of participant minutes, but it gives you the ability to um, do live streaming if you wanted to do live streaming. So something like this you could use. Um, it retains data for 3 days. You can have up to 1,000 participants. So this is something like you could potentially have like Clubhouse type video meetings, right, where people just like drop in and do, like, instead of audio only, it would be like visual as well. Programmatic rooms. So this is really important because Spitball will have to create these programmatic rooms for a person when they join. And in fact, I can probably build out daily.co room creation for users. But basically, this lets you create rooms through the API. So I would be able to tap daily.co. They would create a room, send it back to me through the API in Adalo, and I would save that user's personal, like, meeting link, if you will, to their profile. Is kind of how that would work. Yeah, no problem. And then of course they've got like a massive, like a massive, massive plan here, where it's even got like HIPAA compliance for healthcare and stuff, right? That's like a huge deal. You can record it. You can record it to the cloud. So there's some pretty cool stuff there. Remove the daily branding. It the best part about this is just the free plan, right? Because you can like test your app and like onboard a few users to get their opinion before it actually starts costing you money. So that's a huge benefit there. Um, yeah. So we kind of skipped this whole like workflow, and I don't really want that to happen. So I'm going to try and build out really quickly a way to make sure that like when the user actually gets onto the app, like if they leave and then come back, that it puts them back where they should be in the workflow. And again, I'm not a huge fan of redirect screens, but this is an instance where redirect screens are pretty important in some capacity. Um, and what you can always do is just add, like in this case, if they haven't chosen a role, right? What I might want to do is put an action here on the home screen to, in addition to asking for notification permission, I would link it to the select role screen. Um, Hold on, I'll be right back. Okay. So yeah, what I would want to do is link this screen to the. I would take the home screen and basically put a link action on there to link to the select role screen, and then make this a sometimes action. So I'd make this action conditional. I really only want that to happen if the
the logged in users, and actually you can access it down here under more. If the logged in users role, if the role name is equal to empty, right? And I think I will probably have to jump off because I think my wife is actually calling me. So, but I'll hopefully be able to do this sometime again soon. If you have any questions or anything, feel free to reach out in the forum or whatever. Hopefully YouTube kind of recorded this. I don't know. Like I said before, this is more for to help hold me accountable to actually finish the projects that I start. So yeah, thanks everybody for joining in. We'll see ya.